Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about uncomfortable truths and what to do with them. And I'm talking about this because nowadays we're seeing there's all these news with people with famine, wars, and so on and so forth. And so there may be a part of you that feels guilty because you have it better than them, right? And maybe a part of you is telling you that you should be doing something and you're not. And so you have all these overwhelming feelings, thoughts, etc. that are coming up, and they are wreaking havoc in you, and you don't know how to deal with the situation. And there is a way to deal with it. And so let me tell you, and let me start with a story, but because I think a story will illustrate it much better. So I remember some time ago, I noticed that whenever people who beggars came towards me for money, I would always have a very strong reaction to them. So I would go all, trying to give them money and everything. And then I would start asking around, seeing what was the best strategy, what I should be doing. And then I would go completely in the opposite direction and feel exploited. So I would stop, and and then I would go into guilt because I have it better. And all these things came up and I was confused as hell. I did not feel good inside. I didn't know what to do. And these people would come up over and over again. And in my mind, I had to help them and so on and so forth. So at some point, something told me to go inside and to tap into my inner intelligence, right? Because that's what you do. When you're going into the shoulds and you start strategizing, etc., the first thing is that you just disconnect it from yourself and you disconnect it from the other. That's why you need strategies. You need to find them from outside. And the second thing is that there's something there you don't want to face, right? And the third thing is that you're not seeing reality clearly. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So number one, in my mind, I was the one in that moment who was helping them. So that was the beggar and I was the helpee or whatever. The helper, right? I was the savior, if you wish. So that was the role. Funnily enough, that wasn't the case. Because when I started going inside, I realized that there is no random thing happening in this universe. There's no random relationship. I was having a relationship that was very skewed in that moment. But that was a relationship, right? And so if that person was coming back to me over and over again, it was because in that moment they were showing me my fear, my visceral fear because I was so afraid of becoming homeless. And that fear was there. It was hidden somewhere. I didn't want to see it, because I was so afraid of it, And so automatically when that person showed up in my life, that fear came up over and over again. And they were triggering it so that I can see it, right? And I can deal with it because nobody wants to live in fear. Nobody wants to live in especially repressed fear. Oh my God, that's just horror, right? It's always there, even if I distract myself, but it's always in the background. You do realize that, right? That's why it's good to bring it out. And so in that moment, I started going into it and I started feeling this fear. So I started imagining them going back to a moment when that situation was happening. They were asking me for something and I got distressed. So I started going there and feeling into it, seeing how my body was reacting to it, the thoughts that were coming up, and I started becoming aware of it, which means that I was taking it in. And so in that moment, I realized that relationship was more complex than I thought it was. It wasn't helper and helpee. It was more than that, right? It was actually, they were actually helping me in that moment. They were bringing it out. And in that moment, I also saw them as a soul, not some, helpless thing, helpless piece of meat I need to help. I was seeing them as a soul because I saw the impact they had on me, right? And that's the second thing. So I was starting to see things more clearly. The other thing is that I started taking them in. They became part of me in that moment. I was afraid of that homeless person, right? Because I was afraid I would become that. But now by going into it, they became part of me. I took in the homeless part, the homeless part in me. I actually, at some point in my life, I became homeless and I was sleeping on the streets, and it was just amazing how once you're there, you're okay. You're actually okay. You're not going to die. You can be actually safe even there. You have so many resources, people. I mean, it's crazy what you can see once you open up. And nothing really scares you at some point. So yeah, just let me go back to the story. So that's another thing that happened. And then afterwards, as I had that part in me there, that homeless person inside of me, I felt that fear was not separating me from everyone, everything, and myself and my fears or whatever, but I could completely feel in. And when situations like that happened again, I started coming from that inner intelligence, from that inner web that is connected with everyone around. And because of that, now it will tell you what you have to do. It will just naturally all go there. You won't feel overwhelmed. You won't feel overburdened. You won't feel you have to have 10,000 strategies and read 100 books unless you want to do it. And then if you want to do it, then, it's going to come naturally, and, it will feel okay. It will feel good. You'll want to do it. So anyways, I tapped into that in that moment. I tapped into that inner intelligence. And from there, I knew what to do. I knew what to say. And sometimes you'll see it's so counterintuitive. You're like, this is weird. But it will feel right. And you'll just do it. You'll know what to do. You won't feel helpless. You won't see them as helpless. You will see that there's so much more to it. And so you'll see that. And they will be part of you. And you'll see that you're part of them, which is just amazing. So I hope it's clear, because I have a feeling I went all over the place here. But what I'm saying is that if you feel overwhelmed, if you don't know what to do, if they're out there and you're here, and there is this very clear not boundary, but separation between you, and you're one way, and you're the helper, they're the helpee and all that, you're completely disconnected. You're completely separated from the whole of you and them. You're seeing it from this one-dimensional, rational mind. And that's why it doesn't feel good. That's why it's overwhelming, because that part can't handle this. It can handle certain things, but definitely not this. And that feeling of discomfort is actually telling you you're going the wrong way. Go back to yourself. Feel into yourself. Let that, become aware of your body. Ground yourself there, and let that situation in your mind, let that situation come to you, and feel into it. Hear what it's telling you. There's a lot of wisdom there. And let it talk to you. See how they are serving you, how you can serve them. See how we're all interconnected. And let me stop there. I think it's clear. And if you have any questions or any comments, let me know down below. Let me know how you're dealing with the situation. Maybe you have another way of dealing with it. I'd love to know. And if you wish, if this is overwhelming, if you have very personal things you want to work through, linked with this kind of problems or any other problems, I mean, archetypes, destructive patterns, emotions that you don't know how to deal, then you can book a session with me. I have a link down below, and see you in the next video. Ciao.